Chances are, you've noticed that the realm of pet ownership isn't as straightforward as it seems. We've shared numerous instances to illustrate this point. While lots of folks stick to traditional pets, there's a whole other group who like to venture into the unconventional. In this video, we're delving into the world of the most risky animals kept as pets by some daring individuals. In 2016, a couple named Alexander Dimitrov and his wife Mariah made an unusual decision. They adopted a young cougar named Messi and brought him into their small studio apartment in Penza, Russia. Now, most folks would raise an eyebrow at the idea of keeping a big wild cat in such tight quarters, and rightly so. But this couple was determined to make it work. They knew they had to keep Messi in line, so they set up a schedule to keep him happy and healthy. Twice a day, like clockwork, Messi chowed down on a meal plan fit for a king, or, well, a king of the jungle. His menu included turkey, beef, a smidge of chicken breast, and, of course, some bones to gnaw on. As Messi strutted his stuff around their apartment, the couple started sharing his adventures on Instagram and YouTube. Before they knew it, Messi wasn't just a pet, he was a local sensation. With over 2 million views on YouTube and a growing fanbase on Instagram, Messi became the talk of the town. Who would have thought a cougar in a studio apartment could capture the hearts of so many? Once upon a time, crocodiles were super popular pets, just like alligators. People thought they were cute and exotic. But here's the twist. When these little pets grew big, they couldn't stay as pets anymore. So, folks would set them free. But in Indonesia, where another crocodile story unfolds, things are different. There was this one story about a toddler who played with a 4.5-foot-long crocodile. Surprisingly, the toddler didn't get hurt. Now, here's the scoop. The family didn't just get this crocodile when it was already huge. Nope, they got it when it was super tiny. But guess what? Crocs grow like crazy, and soon, this croc was bigger than the toddler. But get this, the toddler wasn't scared one bit. She played with her scaly friend like it was no big deal. And her family loved it. They were so happy to see her being so brave and friendly with her unusual pet. They even hope she becomes a zookeeper one day. This couple, Svetlana and Yuri, share their home with a 300-pound bear as a pet, who could easily see them as a snack at any moment. This bear isn't some cuddly teddy bear you'd find in a toy store. No, it's a whopping 7 feet tall. But here's the twist. Despite its intimidating size, this bear is as friendly as can be. In fact, it's downright affectionate. It loves hanging out with people and has never shown any signs of aggression. So, while the idea of snuggling up with a bear might sound crazy, and let's be real, it totally is, Svetlana and Yuri seem to have found themselves a furry friend who's more like a giant, fluffy puppy. Reindeer might not seem scary, but it's important to stay cautious around them. They're gentle at heart, but those antlers can be trouble, especially if they get startled. Take two, for example. He was left alone as a baby in the wilds of Finland until a kind kid rescued him. Then he found a home with Mr. Kanan. With love and care, two went from being shy to eating off a dinner plate. But even with all that progress, watch out on the roads. You wouldn't want to meet two at 60 miles per hour. Let's talk about hyenas as pets. Remember that time we discussed them in a specific case? Now, let's think about whether they can be good pets overall. Some folks believe they can raise these African creatures, but it's a bit of a mixed bag. One person who knows a lot about raising hyenas mentioned a big issue. People lack patience when trying to train them. Also, it's important to realize that even if you get a hyena when it's young, it's still a wild animal, not a domesticated pet. So they need to be treated with respect and care, just like any wild creature. And feeding them is crucial. They're used to meals straight from the African wild, not from your kitchen or the local fast food joint. If they don't get the right food, they'll suffer. Oh, and trying to keep a hyena cooped up in a tiny apartment? Not a good idea. They need space to roam, like a backyard, at least. Otherwise, things could get messy fast. So, if you're thinking of getting a pet, maybe consider a dog instead. They're a bit more rational of a choice. Believe it or not, cheetahs are super popular as pets, especially in the exotic pet scene. Let me tell you a story about Milan and his sister Kayla. They have two very special pets, a pair of cheetahs. These kids have grown up with these big cats in their home in South Africa, and they've become best pals. Milan and Kayla share everything with their cheetah buddies, Waku and Skyla. They even take them for rides in their mini jeep. Now, you might wonder how Milan and Kayla ended up with cheetah pets. Well, they live near the Garden Route Game Lodge in South Africa. There, one of the cheetahs had 4 cubs. Milan and Kayla's parents decided to adopt 2 of them. But here's the cool part. They didn't plan to keep them forever. They're helping Waku and Skyla learn how to hunt so that one day they can go back to the wild where they belong. But for now, they're like big, furry members of the family. Do you remember Joe Exotic? The guy who raised a bunch of tigers at his famous zoo, getting as close to them as possible. But here's the twist. Many of those tigers ended up attacking him or his pals, causing serious injuries. Welcome to the Empty Animal Ark, where you'll discover over 90 wild animals. Let's take a peek inside. There's Dr. Prakash Empty and his wife Mandakini. They're the heart behind this place, aiming to create a shelter for rescued animals. Their journey began with a noble cause. Dr. Prakash noticed that local tribes were hunting animals, even their babies, for food. He couldn't stand by and watch this cruelty. So he struck a deal with them, spare the babies in exchange for things like rice. That's how it all started, with a baby monkey. Now, the shelter is home to a diverse range of animals: jackals, leopards, hyenas, porcupines, an Indian python, a crocodile, peacocks, sloth bears, and many more. It's become a favorite spot for visitors, especially children. Starting this sanctuary wasn't an easy task, but Dr. Prakash and his wife's determination paid off. While not everyone can do what they did, their compassion is something we can all admire and learn from. Hunting animals for food is okay when done responsibly, but harming their babies hurts their population and is simply cruel. That's why the Empties started this park, to give these animals a happy home. It's a beautiful example of kindness and empathy in action. Giant pythons can be tricky as pets because while smaller or non-venomous ones might just give you a nip when annoyed, the big ones pose a more serious risk. Take Emmy's pet pythons, Sunny and Cher, for example. They're massive, over 15 feet long. It might sound cute that Emmy loves them, but it's also kinda scary considering their size. Emmy's had these snakes since she was 4, so they're like family now. And despite their hugeness, Sunny and Cher are actually pretty chill. They haven't shown any signs of being mean or defensive, which is a relief. Can you imagine if they decided to give Emmy a squeeze? But nah, they seem more into snuggling than squishing. Maybe that's why they're named Sunny and Cher, like the song I Got You Babe, because they're big, but they're also big softies. Kangaroos seem super cool when we see them on TV or in movies. But in real life, they're tough creatures that can kick really hard. So, who would ever think of having one as a pet? Well, here's the story. A funny guy named Jackson O'Doherty found a baby kangaroo by the road near Sydney. He named her Damien and took care of her like she was his own kid. They became best pals. Damien even likes to play around, chasing Jackson on beaches. Jackson made lots of videos with little Damien, and they look so cute together. But let's be real, it wouldn't be smart to try this with a grown-up kangaroo. In a small pool of water in an Indonesian backyard lives Kojak, the crocodile. Now, usually this would be a story where the proper animal protection authorities would come in and try to remove the croc from the backyard without hurting anyone else. It's a tale as old as time. However, not this time, because Kojak the crocodile is meant to be there on purpose. He's the pet to a family led by Erwin. And let me tell you, Kojak is quite the pet crocodile. Apparently, he spends his days in a small channel of water at the back of Erwin's garden. The family's laundry hangs right next to him, and all three children are free to play ball games on the turquoise-green ceramic tiles that run alongside the croc. Now, you might think this setup is a recipe for disaster, especially when you remember that crocodiles are quick to lunge at nearby food. But get this, Kojak has been with the family for over 2 decades, and during all that time, he's never harmed a single human being. Well, except for that one time he caught a cat. But apparently, that cat was a bit of a troublemaker, so maybe it had it coming. Crocs as pets might seem like something out of a wild dream, but whether or not folks can actually control them is the big question. For Erwin, though, it seems to be no big deal, and that's pretty awesome. The wolf dog. It's basically a mix of a wild wolf and a domestic dog. Because of its background, it can be super protective of its turf, like your home sweet home. But here's the flip side. It might also act all wolf-like and attack someone or scare them off, especially if it feels threatened. That's why having a wolf dog as a pet can be a bit tricky. But the real kicker? They're not allowed everywhere. Yep, some places, like Norway, have straight up banned them because they're worried they might hurt people. But guess what? Despite the risks, some folks still choose to keep them as pets. In this heartwarming video, we see a young girl and her snow owl sharing hugs and kisses, clearly showing a strong bond. The girl showers her feathery friend with affection, and the owl seems to return it. But why are owls considered dangerous pets despite this? Well, it's not about the owls themselves, but how they're raised. Wild owls can be aggressive, especially if you get too close to their nests. However, if you raise an owl from a young age, like the girl in the video, it's usually safe. Let me tell you about Jessica, the house hippo. She's quite the sensation, living in South Africa. Now, hippos might seem cuddly in cartoons, but in reality, they're super dangerous. They can wreck boats and even hurt people without breaking a sweat. But Jessica's different. She was rescued when she was just a baby, all weak and skinny. She got taken in by kind folks who nursed her back to health. They taught her to be friendly to humans, which is unusual for hippos. Now, get this, Jessica's like a celebrity. People come from all over to see her. They can even pet her for a little fee. It's pretty cool, turning a hippo into a tourist attraction, right?